Over the past year, I have gone on a very eye-opening and interesting and informative healing journey. At the beginning of the year, I had a lot of signs and synchronicities come together through the guidance of what I call my higher self or my higher power, and you can call it whatever you want to call it. And it made me realize that I had not taken the time to do the healing work that I needed on my feminine and my sensuality. And this is really interesting because I'd been working on myself for years, and I just realized, like, oh my gosh, this is something I haven't touched on. If anything, I'd avoided it. And so that alone has gone into a very fascinating journey, and I've come a long way from that. And then it morphed into something else, and I started to realize, because of finding this big piece of myself that I hadn't worked on, I realized that there are a lot of dark, shadowy corners of myself that I avoided. That if I started to bring them up, I would feel shameful or uncomfortable, or I would have self-loathing over these areas of myself. And it brought about a whole nother healing journey where I've actually gone and embraced those areas, and I will for a long time. I think we make a bit of a mistake in a lot of healing, and we focus on these good aspects of ourself, right? Whatever we have deemed good, and we work on that, but we don't work on the parts of ourself that we think are bad. Instead, we push those to the back, right? We think if we work on the good stuff enough, we're gonna get rid of that bad stuff, and I don't think that's how it goes. I don't believe that this world is a world of duality. I don't think this world is either good or bad. I think that every single one of us is a combination of both. And I think if you really want freedom, if you really want to heal yourself, to find self-love and understanding, or at least, I heard a new phrase recently that I very much appreciated, and it was self-neutrality. We don't always have to just be head over heels for ourselves, right? But to find that point of neutrality where we don't feel the self-loathing or the hateful thoughts or whatever it is towards ourselves. We have to be willing to go in and find the pieces that we think are bad or gross or wrong or disturbing, or focus on the thoughts that we have that we think are terrible, and no one would ever have those thoughts, and why am I having those? And we have to learn to embrace them. See, if you were sick or hurt yourself, right? If you broke your leg, would it ever heal properly if you didn't want to face it because the pain was too bad and you just didn't want to handle that right? So you push it away and you just assume it's going to get better. Or you go focus on your fitness, right, with your leg broken. Is it ever going to heal properly? No. We get sucked into this duality, and we don't realize that what we're doing is we're putting what's allowed for ourselves in a box. And we're actually still blocking out these things. We think if I get the good stuff good enough, right, then the jealousy or the hatred or the disgust or the lust in situations that we feel is inappropriate, or whatever this darkness is for you. And I think if you stop and you think about it, you will figure out what that darkness is for you. We think if we get the good stuff good enough, that darkness is going to go away, and I'm here to tell you it's not. I'm also here to tell you that we all have it. We all have parts of ourselves that we shy away from because we think they're bad, evil, or wrong, and I don't believe that they are. I don't think we're here to be the best good person. I absolutely don't believe that. I think that we are here to learn to embrace the aspects of ourself that we find hateful and shameful, because when we do that, when we give ourselves permission to love the parts of ourselves that we or other people or grandma or the neighbor next door or whoever it happens to be have told us is bad, evil, or wrong. When we embrace those aspects of ourselves, we learn to embrace it and love other people the same way. And I think that's what we're here for. I think that when we learn to love those parts of ourselves, then when we go to judge other people, we stop and we realize how alike we all are. And we start to realize that the areas of other people that we would judge so harshly are the parts of us that we haven't healed fully yet. So this is your sign to go find something about yourself you don't love and learn to embrace it. It doesn't mean that you have to suddenly decide that that's an awesome part of you and that you're so excited by it and that you think it's great, right? It doesn't mean that at all. But it means that when we have that feeling, thought, emotion, memory come up in our head that brings us that shame or horror or disgust or whatever it is, it means that we can look at that and we can break down the emotions that are coming in and we can allow them and release them and say that we know this is okay. No, if you want to off your coworker, you're not going to go do it just because you're embracing that part of yourself, and you're going to realize later that maybe that's not really what you want, right? But when you have that thought or that feeling and you think, oh my God, I'm a horrible person, I can't believe I thought that, you need to know that other people think those things too. And then it doesn't make them a bad person either. It's okay to learn to love ourselves in all aspects and not to put ourselves in a box. And when you do that, that's when the true freedom happens. That's when the judgment, I won't ever say it stops, but it stops being so suffocating. That's when you learn to love other people for who they are, even if who they are is not who you want to be. That's when you learn to see past the black and white that other people want to feed you and see all that gray area, because the truth is that's all there is. I hope this message helps you. I don't normally say this, but if you felt like it helped you and you know someone needs to hear it, send it to them today. And if you don't, that's okay too. I love you. I hope you have a very happy day. And I will talk to you again soon.